In the 1960s, Don Yenko emerged as one of the SCCA's top road racers. But Yenko became famous for what he did away from the racetrack. He took regular Chevy production cars and turned them into bona fide racing machines, selling them at his Pennsylvania car dealership. Not many were made, and relative few still survive, making Yenkos some of the most sought-after collector cars in the world. Today, 4 partners and their team are taking on a huge challenge. Build a replica 1969 Camaro that uses today's technology but remains faithful to the original. It's a gamble that could breathe new life into a legend.
Mr. Girl, you brought my PPS cups. Thank you, because I needed those really, really bad.
PPS cups are an all-in-one solution for measuring, mixing, filtering, and spraying paint. Last time we saw Dustin and Brandon cover this Camaro in authentic Daytona yellow. They finished the final coat, but there's not enough clear coat on hand. And of course, that means another trip next door for David.
Oscar.
Dave.
Okay, we're a gallon short on clear. Can I get some 72 500S? Glamour clear. So with that, we've got 3 clears, 2 activators. Think that's enough?
Should be enough.
Talking about Dustin.
We are talking about Dustin.
Thanks, sir.
Once David gets back to the shop, the paint guys can get back to work. The clear coat serves 2 purposes. It adds depth to the car's color, and more important, it protects the paint from the elements, from dirt to the sun's UV rays. The paintwork is finished, so the next stage is up to the shop's ace mechanics.
When you're building cars versus just paint and body, you've got to step up and do a few things like mechanical, like interior. So a while back, we hired Richard and Omar, brought them in, and on these builds, you get to the point where you've got to do wiring, plumbing, and mechanical.
Hey, Richard, where may I help you today? Omar! You know, normally, coffee, guys, coffee. Wake up.
Martin is not only the body man, but he's the head of quality control at Brand New Muscle Car.
So today we'll put the headers on first, then we'll put the separator plate on, then the flywheel, then the clutch, then the bell housing, and then we'll put the motor in, put the transmission in so we can mark the floor.
Oh, that one is another, yeah.
So we can cut the hole in the floor and then hook up our electrics, hook up our fuel, and
try to see if that, okay.
I think a lot of people don't understand what's really involved in restoring, or like what we do, build a car brand new.
These are our American Racing 2-inch headers. This all-aluminum ZL1 engine has head studs, and they stick up a little bit higher than a normal head bolt would. Like right here, with the header on and these head bolt studs, there's not enough room. So I had to clearance the bottom of it so we can get the bolts in. We'll pull the header back away, slide the head gasket into place. All right, on to the other side. Same operation on this side, just no dipstick tube.
There is something special for that one, because the more clearance for the headers, because you see the headers is big.
Yeah, well, we wound up having to clearance 1 tube on it.
Oh yeah?
We may have to wind up moving it some more. I just took a guess at it for now, but we'll know more once we get it inside the car.
One of the great things about Richard is he's kind of like a professor. He literally, if you ask him what time it is, he'll tell you how to make the watch, which sometimes drives me nuts, but sometimes I love it. It is great info. What's really cool is when customers come in and they say, you know, I think I want fuel injection. Why do I want fuel injection, Richard? Boom, there's a class on fuel injection.
Next, it's time for the crew to mate the hydraulic clutch to the engine.
Your hydraulic clutch only moves in and out a certain distance. This is where the bearing rides. If the distance between here and here is too great, the hydraulic throwout bearing can't depress these fingers. And putting it together the way we have it, we're a little over spec. We're at 0.65, and we need to be at 0.25. So we need to add a different shim. This is the one we have. We get this cup, that gives us a 0.85 difference. If we take 0.85 minus the 0.65, that puts us at 0.200. These are 0.15 each. So that's kind of like right in the middle of the range. So basically when we put it together, in theory, this will be the distance between here and here. We only have 250 thousandths play, and that's the difference between making a hydraulic clutch work right and one that doesn't work right. So we'll have to get the optional cup, and then we'll be in spec, clutch will work like it's supposed to.
Coming up,
This is the part that saves your ankles if your clutch ever goes bad.
and we get a look at an authentic Yenko Camaro with a truly unique history.
Classic Industries presents brand new muscle car Yenko Camaro is brought to you by Chris Austin's Chassis Works, the home of higher technology. Proformance Unlimited, your crate engine experts, building your dream and ours one engine at a time. DJS Fabrications, the best mobile car dolly built today. And by Classic Industries, America's first choice in restoration and performance parts and accessories.
Next we start with the clutch. This is our separator plate. On the early motors, this plate is here, it's basically a freeze plug. Well, on a later model block, you have this to hold the camshaft in place, and it sticks out past the bell housing. So I had to notch the separator plate so it would fit up flush against the block. Okay. Now the flywheel goes on.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, it's heavy. I'm going to tighten these up in a star-shaped pattern. Kind of like putting a wheel on a car. So everything pulls down flush and with the same amount of torque on all the hardware, and that way it won't come off and it doesn't have any out of run or in play or anything like that. We got some fingerprints on it installing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean that. You don't want any oil, grease, fingerprints, any of that kind of stuff on the face to get onto the friction disc. And then we can start assembling the dual disc clutch.
Why are you putting dual?
Dual disc clutch is for your higher horsepower, higher torque applications. We're making over 500 horsepower here, and we're going to have a good transmission, sticky tires, that kind of stuff. So there's only a couple of ways that you can keep a clutch applied correctly without slipping and causing heat damage and stuff like that. You can either make the flywheel bigger, which increases the weight. You can put a big single in there, but then your pedal effort goes way up and you have one leg that's this big around and one leg that's this big around. What McLeod has done is they've actually made this a dual disc clutch, so there's twice the clamping force. So instead of one great big clutch, they have two smaller ones. And then this is our bottom disc. It literally says bottom disc, flywheel side. So we take our clutch alignment tool, fits right in the back of the crank, lines the first disc up. The second piece going on is the floater. This is basically our second flywheel. We'll get all the fingerprints off of it, and these things come with a little bit of a coating on them to keep them from rusting while they're sitting on the shelf. And there is a certain bolt pattern. You just match that up, and you combine this with a hydraulic clutch, and then it drives really nice. Real low pedal effort. So now we torque these down. Pull our alignment tool back out, and this is our second clutch disc. Marked just the same as before, flywheel side and top. Flywheel side, flywheel side. We want to make sure everything's nice and loose right now. We don't want any binding. Last part, this is the part that does all the clamping work. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Wipe it down so it's nice and clean. Now, these things come as a set. Everything has to match and it has to go together one way. So what McLeod does is they give you a mark here on the diaphragm, a mark here on the floater. So when we put it on, we need to make sure that those marks line up. Okay, last part is the blow-proof bell housing. High horsepower applications like this use a big, thick, blow-proof bell housing. If you ever have a clutch explosion, this will hold it all inside.
So, Omar, so you need to put in separate these, all these attachments? You got a computer in there, or how you hook it up?
Well, everything's already wired up to work with the Holly.
Yeah. But now he coming with a computer?
Yeah, it comes with his own computer. We're here.
Oh, okay. That one is the plugs only for what?
The powers, all the signals, fans, and O2 sensors.
I mean, like you're talking about the technology. Now look at this one. You see before, carburetors. Now, what is this?
This is the new Holley Sniper. Throttle body fuel injection. This right here, Martin, your typical Holley performance carburetor. Back in the day, one of the first things the guys did was put a bigger carburetor on there and headers just like we're doing now. But the technology has advanced to the point where all of this is in here. Keep that covered up. Okay, so we've got our clutch installed, bell housings installed, everything's lined up, ready to go. The next step, in the hole it goes.
Under the sunny skies of coastal Florida, there's a museum dedicated to American horsepower. It's the American Muscle Car Museum, and it's only open for charity fundraising events. The $40 million collection belongs to Mark Pylock, and one of his Yenko Camaros once belonged to professional wrestling superstar and car collector Bill Goldberg. It's the subject of this week's Yenko Collector's Spotlight.
Today we have a 1968 Chevrolet Yenko Camaro here. In the first batch of 20, this is number 5 out of it in the Grotto Blue. This has the L72, which is a 450 horse, 427 engine, 11-to-1 compression, solid lifter cam, a very thirsty Holley carburetor. This is backed into an M21 4-speed transmission, 12-volt positive traction with a 4:10 gear ratio. This is fully maintained. We have a maintenance program for all the cars in the museum. We keep them up to running order, we keep them tuned, and we make sure they're good to go.
Coming up, it's finally time. Richard, Omar, and the gang put the engine in this brand new muscle car, and they tackle a slew of wires and hoses to make it all work.
Photos and documents shown on brand new muscle car Yenko Camaro, courtesy of Mark Gillespie. For even more about Don Yenko and the supercars that made his dealership famous, look online for the Yenko era and the Yenko era continued, Cannonsburg and beyond.
Here in Tulsa, the first officially licensed 69 Yenko Camaro in 50 years is taking shape.
Before we put the engine in, we got everything out of the way. Typically on your big block Camaros, Chevelles, Novas, with the great big aluminum valve covers like that, the power brake booster normally sits here. Well, we removed that for now. Instead of running an 11-inch power brake booster, we had to step down to a 9-inch to make room. So we pulled all that out of the way for right now because we need as much room as we can possibly get to get that big motor with those big valve covers and those big headers all in at the same time. All right, come on in.
Restoring cars I've done before, build one from a brand new shell is something different. There's literally 10,000 parts, nuts, bolts, wire clips.
And what we have to do is we have to get these under the firewall.
And if you have guys working around you that everybody is on the same page and everybody wants to get the same thing done at the same time, it tends to make a chaotic situation run a little smoother.
Tilt it a little bit, Omar.
Come on, Omar. You can do it, Omar. Still too high for me. You got your exercise for the whole year now.
Yeah. Yep, we can come down a little bit.
Right there, right there.
It takes a lot of patience with each other because everybody gets frustrated, and most of the guys around here, you know, we might get frustrated, we might get angry, but it's kind of like water, just rolls off. I mean, in 10 minutes, you're back to being best buddies, but it's got to be that way.
With the newer style suspension that we've got in this car, the new spool type mounts, polyurethane instead of the old style rubber mounts, the engine doesn't move around near as much as it used to. Back in '69 with a big block in this car, when it was all bolted together with the old biscuit style mounts, these engines made so much power that would actually break the mounts. On the torque, especially with these big blocks making a lot of horsepower, when they accelerate, they tend to torque over, they'll move. Well, with these new style mounts, you don't have to worry about that near as much. And it still dampens the vibration enough that it's comfortable to drive. If you've ever driven a car with solid steel mounts, you'll know what I mean. There's so much vibration, you can't hear the radio, your teeth chatter all the time. These mounts are a good happy medium. They're twice as strong, they still dampen vibration, they don't let the engine move around near as much, so you can run tighter clearances on like the frame and your headers and on the firewall clearance. You don't have to worry about that near as much as you used to have to.
Maybe not nearly as much, but clearances can still sometimes be an issue. In this case, with the transmission.
These things fit really, really snug, especially when they're new.
The fit is off by just a fraction of an inch.
Sometimes there's powder coating, real thick powder coating, so we may have to pull the transmission back out, get all this powder coating off, and then it should go. This is the hydraulic throwout bearing. This is what actually actuates the clutch. And this has to fit inside the bell housing. And so we're going to clean the inside of the bell housing mounting hole, so this will slide in a little easier. It's supposed to fit really tight, but sometimes between anodizing and paint or powder coating or whatever, it actually makes the hole too small and then it doesn't want to fit. So we're going to clean the hole out a little bit, then it should go right in. Okay, we're right there. Everybody hold your tongue out. Yep, that's it. So it looks like our hole needs to be about right.
Okay, you want me to do the same diameter as this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So you want me to do that right there, right?
Yep.
Bodyman Martin steps in to cut a hole in the floor to accommodate the shifter. There's still more to come. Up next, the team focuses on keeping the engine cool, and we take you to California to see where this Yenko's cooling system was designed and made.
Classic Industries presents brand new muscle car Yenko Camaro is brought to you by Exalta Coating Systems. We paint winners. Scoggin-Diggy Parts Center, your source for custom-built street-to-strip power. Clamp Tight, the clamp-making tool. And by brand new muscle car, building yesterday's dream cars today.
Welcome back to Tulsa. Keeping this 600 horsepower engine cool is critical. That's why the team at Brand New Muscle Car turned to Champion Cooling in California.
The cool thing about Champion Cooling is they literally not only have a cooling solution for pretty much everything, they will make anything. And in our business, where we're building custom cars and we're storing all kinds of wild stuff, we can call them, give them the dimensions, and they'll make us a cooling system. And it'll be just as high quality and work just as well as their off-the-shelf stuff for Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, you name it. Their service is off the charts, people are great, they're just fantastic.
Champion Cooling Systems was founded on the principle that we needed an affordable radiator and you couldn't find it anywhere, and that spawned the entire business. We've been in business about a decade, making aluminum radiators for classic cars and trucks dating back nearly 100 years. Our radiators are affordable, so the guy that's the do-it-yourselfer, the guy that wants to work on his own car at home, that can't afford necessarily to go out to a shop to pay the big money, he can buy our radiator, spend a couple $100, get a nice affordable aluminum radiator, and it's guaranteed for life. A lot of times we get customers that say, well, I can go out to Amazon or I can go out to eBay and I can buy a radiator for about $170. The problem with that is they're just a universal radiator, so they're not going to mount into your car the way ours will. Ultimately, you're going to be spending a lot more money, so when you start adding up the price of the radiator, the time you spend building the brackets, the hardware, adding the fans, adding the relay kits, you're going to be spending a lot more money. We can provide a package that's affordable. One of our typical customers is somebody that's trying to find a radiator for their car. They can't find it anywhere, so if they want to take it to a shop and get it recored, they're looking at a few $100s. We've had people come in and say it's $900 to rebuild my original radiator. So what we can do is if we don't have one that's going to be a direct bolt into their car, we can create a radiator that's going to fit into their car. We want our customers to know that they've got a quality product, so we make sure that the materials are up to our standards. If it's not, we might have to start all over again. But it's very important to us because it matters to us what our customers think. We have a lot of people that will speak highly of our radiators because they have them in their cars and they know that they work. So if you come to us as a customer, we're going to treat you like a customer for life. You're not a number, you're not somebody that comes in, we sell you a radiator, you go away. We have that lifetime warranty. So if you have any problems or any concerns about your radiator, you come back and you talk to us and our sales staff will take care of you. Without our customers, we wouldn't be here. You're not a number, you are the reason we are in business.
That's bad the other way.
Yeah. All right, well, let me go see what I can find.
Okay.
Every car gives you a different problem to solve. Most of it is you just have to be willing to adapt. If you run into a hard stop on a part, you either go down to the parts store, you run down to O'Reilly's, or you dig out the parts catalog, or in some instances, you have to make it.
Well, they're not out here, so I'll probably have to go look in the back room.
Well, Richard's gone. We're gonna try to install the lower radiator hose, but since it's long on both ends, we're gonna cut it down to size to be a perfect fit.
see. If we have one, it's going to be in here. Door seals, windshield seals, weather strip. No radiator hose. Need to treat more. Hey, David.
What's up?
Radiator hose number 1 does not work. It's close, but it's not going to work. So I'm going to go and see if I can find the correct one.
Well, the first one never fits, right?
No, they never fit right. Okay, I'm going to go down to O'Reilly's and see if I can get the right one and make it work.
All right, man.
David said you need a hose?
Yep, that one won't work.
Oh, let's try that one.
It looks like it might work. I got one too many bins in this one, so this one should work. Thanks.
Good luck.
See
You're
you.
welcome. See you later.
Okay. Hey, Omar, I think I got a radiator hose that'll work now. Right around the alternator. Good job.
Next week,
I got saying it won't start on the first one.
It will start.
it's time to bring this all-new 69 Yenko Camaro to life.
Okay. Down, maybe? Oh, no. Not yet? Okay, then tilt it some more. Did you rate the... You rate... Tony, come on! Hey, let me see. It's right over here behind us. Oh, man! Look at this! I guess.